Action Man is here. Action Man is here. On land, at sea, and in the air, in action everywhere. Tough and fearless, he's a fighter. No assignment ever troubles him on high ground.
Action Man is here. Sound action stations and move your Action Man into any one of 1,000 exciting battle positions. Equip him from 50 perfectly scaled kits. Action Man has by far the biggest range of equipment for action on land, at sea, and in the air. Sound action stations for your Action Man today. Action Man is here.
1964, the Hasbro Toy Company released G.I. Joe action figures and equipment sets in the United States. UK-based toy manufacturer Palitoy took notice and approached Hasbro about acquiring rights to manufacture. Following negotiations, these were secured in 1965. Then Palitoy's Colville factory geared up to manufacture, along with component sourcing from Far East factories. A new name was deemed essential, with G.I. Joe not considered suitable for UK market. Following deliberations, was renamed Action Man and released in 1966. Original Action Man was almost a direct copy of the G.I. Joe range. The Action Soldier, Pilot, and Sailor, with equipment sets sold separately. First Action Man figures had the same polythene and nylon peg elasticated hard hands body as G.I. Joe, with the earliest versions having flesh-coloured painted rivets in their construction. One difference was the maker's trademark was on the lower back of the Action Man, unlike G.I. Joe, which had the mark on the right butt cheek. The head was also the same as G.I. Joe, being manufactured from hard vinyl material with the same painted hair and scar on right cheek. Later production heads were made of a softer vinyl. Head was also available in 4 hair colour variations with 2 eye colours: brown and blonde with brown eyes, and red and black with blue eyes. The first issue box from 1966 featured misleading artwork of partially accessorized figures on the bottom right, which led to complaints. Palitoy resolved this by sticking a photo of the actual figure in bottom right corner over the original artwork. Finally, the box artwork was altered to incorporate the photo. The Hasbro G.I. Joe logo was replaced by the Palitoy Action Man bullet hole logo on the box artwork. The box also had top flap opening instead of the G.I. Joe casket type. The uniform included shirt, trousers, boots, and green plastic cap. The shirt had 4 fake buttons and fastened by 3 press studs. The clothes label had the Action Man logo on it. The trousers fastened by 2 press studs. The peaked green cap was a very basic design with minimal detail. The plastic long brown boots had recessed soles. The metal ID tag and chain had the Action Man logo stamped on it. Paperwork included L51 Star Awards card in 1966, L100 in 1967, L17 in 1968, and L30 in 1969. Equipment manuals 1966, then 1968, and 1969 versions. An Army manual was included with all figures from 1966 to 1969.
New Action Man Soldier, now with lifelike hair. Famous British uniforms for you to collect. Authentic in every detail. And talking commander too. Enemy aircraft. Action stations. Here they come. Action Man Red Devils over the dropping zone with parachutes that really work. It's all action with the new Action Man.
In 1970, Action Man was charting a different course to his American cousin G.I. Joe, starting with ingenious innovation from Palitoy Director of Design Bill Pugh. While watching the popular BBC TV series Tomorrow's World, he saw a feature on the electrostatic flocking process that was being used extensively in the automotive industry. Could this be used to create hair for Action Man? Following a meeting with an electrostatic flocking company at the Palitoy factory, equipment was designed, and following intensive testing, production began. Production heads now had only two hair colours, brown and blonde, with blue eyes as standard. The existing commander figure was flocked, alongside the new action soldier, sportsman, and adventurer figure with flocked beard. Flocked hair was a huge success, so much so Hasbro incorporated it into the G.I. Joe Adventure Team range.
Introducing the new G.I. Joe Adventure Team. 5 rugged men with lifelike hair. They're outfitted for action, and they take their orders from this man, the Adventure Team Commander.
I've got a tough assignment for you.
The G.I. Joe Adventure Team. They'll dare anything and risk everything. Collect the new G.I. Joe Adventure Team and add to the action with Adventure Team sets. G.I. Joe, now with lifelike hair from Hasbro.
The action soldier uniform consisted jacket and trousers. Jacket had 2 top pockets, with 2 flaps at the bottom but no pouches. Belt loops either side, but no belt. And was fastened by 2 press studs. The plastic beret was similar to the commander's, except coloured blue. The beret cap badge was a sticker, and some earlier versions had this upside down. Short black boots completed the uniform. Accessories included Sten gun with removable magazine and a new grey plastic ID tag. Also included Star Awards card and equipment manual. It was also part of the 40th anniversary nostalgic collection in 2008, included with the Parachute Regiment and Argyll and Sutherland Highlander outfits.
Hold it! That gun is in the lifelike grip of Action Man. And those hands really grip anything, tightly, firmly. It's the grip for driving these Scorpions. And this great new Land Rover. A firm grip, but light enough to land this terrific new helicopter within inches of the new Special Operations tent. Action Man. He's where the action is.
From the beginning of the 1970s, Palitoy had guided Action Man from his American roots to a more British identity, with new uniforms and innovative flocked hair. And in 1973 saw the release of the classic Action Man soldier with gripping hands. While setting up a display at the Brighton Toy Fair, Palitoy head of design Bill Pugh became frustrated with Action Man's hard hands struggling to hold weapons and other accessories. He asked Palitoy design department to come up with a solution. After some research, process manager Alec Langton suggested a new material, Kraton, a thermoplastic that returns to its original form when bent or stretched, that might be used to mould Action Man hands, solving the issue. Chief designer Bob Breakin sculpted a scale model of his own left hand for tooling purposes, with a hand pantographed down to 12-inch scale for production. With tooling in place, production began, with Gripping Hands Action Man made available in 1973. Figures released included Adventurer, Sailor, Talking Commander, and Soldier. Although adding play value, some production issues arose. The gripping hands were glued into wrist brackets and were vulnerable to being pulled out. The moulding process led to fragility in the fingers, resulting in them breaking off. And a flaw in the formula in the Kraton material resulted in hands going yellow, hard and brittle. It is very rare to find original 1970s gripping hands in good condition. These issues improved as production went on, but were not fully solved until the introduction of the dynamic Physique figure in 1979. Dressing Action Man became more difficult, with the gripping hands snagging on sleeves. This was solved by the inclusion of a thimble that covered the hand, allowing hand and arm to be pushed through sleeve. Instructional leaflet included with the figure demonstrated this. The first thimble was metal and was quickly replaced with a nylon type. In 1974, gripping hands were introduced into the G.I. Joe range, renamed Kung Fu Grip.
And here is G.I. Joe with Kung Fu Grip. G.I. Joe has hands that grip. Fingers you hold open and let close. Hands that hold on with a Kung Fu Grip. The grip you help Joe use in self-defense. G.I. Joe with Kung Fu Grip. The hands that grip.
Soldier figure was kitted out in contemporary British Army working dress. Uniform included sweater, trousers, khaki belt, beret, scarf, short black boots, and equipped with SLR rifle. The sweater was originally woolen and manufactured in various production weaves and stitching, with some early nylon examples appearing in 1976. Note the crude epaulets made from the same green material as the sweater. Trousers were green and had a large pocket on left leg, and were fastened by a press stud. The khaki belt had no slider. The first issue beret in 1973 was made of a green fabric, with elasticated headrim and no cap badge. By 1975, the famous black plastic beret was introduced that was originally included with the Action Man Tank Commander. It had a silver plastic cap badge of the British Tank Regiment attached. The boots were short black blow-moulded type, early versions having recessed soles, with later issues having flat soles. The SLR rifle originally had elastic strap, which was changed to plastic in 1975. It's important to note the uniform is subjective. By the mid-1970s, there was much mixing of old and new components, and was not uncommon to find cloth berets in 1976 and elastic-strapped SLRs turning up late in production. Along with gripping hands and new uniform, the soldier also had new box packaging, with 5 variations between 1973 and 1977. The first in 1973 had misleading text, with Gators listed in the contents list, although not included with the figure. The second in 1974 had Gators text covered with a smudge of black ink print. The third in 1975 removed the Gators text, with the box artwork also changed, with Gators, ammo pouch and beret cap badge removed. Also, side panel now featured Soldier instead of the previous Talking Commander. The 1976 box had sticker celebrating the British National Association of Toy Retailers Golden Award, which Palitoy had won the previous year. In 1977, the box was reused for the initial release of the new Eagle Eyes figure, with moving Eagle Eyes sticker applied to box. Note also, the bullet hole logo and the prefix action was dropped from the box artwork. Paper documents included L259 Star Awards card that was quickly replaced by the L513 card. Earlier versions included L364 and L345 instruction leaflets. Also included 1973 and subsequent 1974, 1975 and 1976 equipment manuals. In 2007, it was released as part of the 40th anniversary Nostalgic Collection.
Action Man!
Now he's got eagle eyes that actually move. On the lookout for action, wherever you take him. Look out for
Action Man!
and his eagle eyes.
In the early 1970s, Palitoy upgraded the basic Action Man figure, first with flocked hair, and then gripping hands. And in 1975, Hasbro introduced their own with moving eagle eyes. In 1977, eagle eyes were introduced into the Action Man range, with the resulting figure known as the Hybrid, combining 1960s body with flocked hair, gripping hands and moving eagle eyes. Eagle eye figures released in 1977 included Sailor, Helicopter Pilot, Adventurer and Soldier. A lever at the back of the head moved side to side, actuating the eagle eyes. The head itself was redesigned, being made larger and made of injected moulded PVC plastic, moulded in two parts to allow installing of moving eye mechanism. Heads were available in brown or blonde flocks, with bearded versions of both, and with blue eyes as standard. The basic soldier uniform was retained, but with some detailed changes. Note subjectivity should be applied to uniforms of this period, with much mixing of old and new components. The sweater was supplied in both woolen and nylon versions. Woolen type, as seen in this example, tended to have tighter weave than previous, though older mid-70s versions were also turning up. The beret was larger to accommodate eagle eye head with a flatter profile, and looks very different to fixed eye version when directly compared. The trousers had long left pocket, with the press stud cap visible. Boots were short black blow moulded type. Belt was a thinner, lighter coloured khaki material than previous, with no slider. The SLR now had plastic strap as standard. Note the dark colour brown of the stock. The first issue reused previous packaging, with sticker on front, now with moving eagle eyes. The second and most common version have new and arguably the finest Action Man box packaging artwork, drawn by graphic designer Dave Barnacle. The box now had the new Palitoy logo, with the side panels lettering now in other languages besides English. Of special interest was the artwork showing Tom Stone and Atomic Man, who along with Action Man and Bullet Man were members of the Action Man team, the Palitoy take on the Hasbro G.I. Joe Adventure Team. Paperwork included Star Awards card L513 in 1977 and L160 in 1978. Gripping Hands instruction leaflet L575 and Eagle Eyes leaflet L406 in 1977, and Combined Gripping Hands Eagle Eyes leaflet L487 in 1978. Also included the 1977 equipment manual and the following year the 1978 version.
As storm clouds gather over Mrs. Rogers' garden, the Action Man gang assemble for the big parade. It's an impressive display of military muscle. And speaking of muscle, just look at Action Man's new fully posable physique. It's chest out and eyes right as the top brass take the salute. They know that whatever the task, Action Man with his dynamic new physique is ready for action.
By the end of the 1970s, Action Man had established himself as the UK's #1 boys' toy. However, storm clouds were gathering, not least from a range of toys based on a recent successful science fiction film. The 1960s Action Man body was looking dated. The improvements of the previous 10 years, realistic hair, gripping hands, and eagle eyes, had been bolt on, with few changes to the Action Man body, and although impressive fully clothed, when shirtless he looked the complete opposite. Another issue was the production tooling was wearing out, leading to increased wastage. Exasperating this, it was family tooling. If one component was out of specification, the whole mould shot had to be scrapped. Also, the metal rivets used in construction were becoming a safety issue within the toy industry. Palitoy head of design Bill Pugh tasked his team with developing a new figure with a design brief of no metal components and a streamlined, more efficient production process. Seen here are original prototype sketches, drawings, and the 1981 US patent. The end result was radically different from its predecessor, both in look and production. Manufactured on separate hot running tooling, the new figure was made up of interlocking all-plastic components, with key body parts sonically welded. Palitoy named the new body Dynamic Physique. Action Man now sported a tanned, muscular body with moulded plastic underwear. Green for prototypes, before the now famous blue pants in production examples. UK collectors will often refer to Dynamic Physique as blue pants figures. Note the Action Man logo moulded into the waistband of the blue pants. All the previous upgrades were included: realistic hair, gripping hands, and eagle eyes. The new hands were larger and made of an improved Kraton material, which solved the previous gripping hands' durability problem. Hands were moulded with 2 holes that fixed into rotating wrist pegs in the forearm. A larger clothes cup to accommodate new gripping hands were included. Action Man gained an additional scar on right bicep, and the lettering on back of torso was changed to CPG Products Corporation 1978. The only elastic component was the head post connection to the torso. Dynamic Physique more closely mimicked the human body, and an example of this is sitting a figure in a vehicle. The old body legs would splay, but Dynamic Physique would stay together, giving a much more realistic sitting pose. The new body fully met and exceeded design remit, containing non-metal parts, was more economical to produce, and more closely mimicked the human body. Its introduction continued the trend of Action Man as a developing concept, with upgrades and new features every few years, and gave Action Man a major boost going into the 1980s, long after his American cousin, G.I. Joe, had been discontinued. And is a credit to Bill Pugh's Palitoy design team of Bob Breakin, Ivor Edmonds, and Alex Langton. One of the plus, Action Man could now take off his shirt and trousers without fear of embarrassment. Dynamic Physique figures released in 1979 included Helicopter Pilot, Adventurer, Soldier, Desert Fighter, and Talking Commander. The box packaging artwork was again drawn by Dave Barnacle, with front box illustration showing new figure body, with lettering now more Dynamic Physique. The side panels showed other Action Men in the range. An interesting change to the box was the addition of an extended side panel on the left side. This allowed a large soldier illustration on the back, with lettering New Dynamic Physique for more action poses. The uniform was the same as previous release, with the usual detailed changes. Most sweater and scarves were now nylon, but note, woolen types were still turning up in 1979. The trousers were thinner, lighter coloured material than previous, with no visible stud cap. Paperwork included L487 Eagle Eye and Gripping Hands instruction sheet, L160 and later L774 Star Awards cards, and the 1979 equipment poster.
This is today's Action Man, watching the armored Jeep getting ready for action. Talking Commander gives his orders.
Give me some cover.
The assault copter fires off its rockets in support, right on target. But is the battle over? Only you know. You and Action Man.
In 1981, Palitoy updated the basic Action Man Dynamic Physique figure. These updates included the Sharpshooter head play feature, new hip joints, and controversial uniform change. The Sharpshooter head play feature allowed the Action Man head to stay up, mimicking looking down the sights of a weapon accessory. It was the idea of the son of Palitoy employee John Hawkes, and was very simple. A notch was moulded in the Action Man throat at the bottom of the head attachment hole. This allowed the head to stay in up position. It required no heavy development and was therefore cost-effective, nor did it diminish the realism of the figure. An idea brilliant in its simplicity, it was the last play feature for Action Man, following the footsteps of realistic hair, gripping hands, and eagle eyes. The 1979 Dynamic Physique figure's hip ball joints were manufactured as one piece. In 1981, the ball joint components were altered. Production experience saw them now manufactured in two pieces versus the original one. The slots on each joint were also larger. All Sharpshooter figures have this configuration of joint. There are reports of non-Sharpshooter figures having these joints, which would point to late 1980. Rare crossover examples. The uniform contents were identical to previous release, with one difference. The trousers were now made from a camouflage material, replacing the plain olive green type. This divides opinion, with many collectors preferring the olive green. The sweaters were now all nylon manufacture. The box packaging saw the extended side panel dropped, with the artwork again drawn by Dave Barnacle. An angled window panel had lettering showcasing the new Sharpshooter head play feature, an illustration of the new camouflage trousers. The back had large illustration of Action Man in firing pose, with lettering, new dynamic body for more action poses, now with adjustable head for Sharpshooter position. Side panels illustrations showed pilot, Talking Commander, and Space Ranger Captain figures, with the other panel featuring gripping hands, dynamic physique, realistic hair, and eagle eyes play features. The top flap showed National Association of Toy Retailers Toy of the Decade Award badge. Sharpshooter figures released in 1981 included Helicopter Pilot, Space Ranger Captain, Soldier, Talking Commander, and the Action Man basic figure. The last Action Man Soldier in 1983 was almost identical to previous, with the only identifiable difference being the lighter iris on the eagle eyes, giving Action Man a rather startled look. The uniform was identical to previous, but some very late examples had a different pattern of camouflage trouser. This was similar to the Royal Marine Combat and modern British infantryman camouflage, but made from a thinner, flimsier material. Included for the first time since 1970 was an ID tag. These are rectangular plastic with stickers on each side showing ID number and personnel information. Black string fastened them around the Action Man's neck. The stock and grip on the SLR were now a light caramel colour versus the previous dark brown. Figures released in 1983 included SAS Commander, Talking Commander, Soldier, Space Ranger Captain, Helicopter Pilot, and the basic undressed figure. The biggest change to the 1983 release was the orange chevron packaging. It was an inch taller and slightly wider than previous, but lacked the presence of its predecessors. At the top was the now infamous orange chevron, an obvious play on military rank, which also combined the Action Man logo. The box had an almost psychedelic combination of red, yellow and orange colours, with a poorly illustrated Action Man figure not coming close to previous packaging artwork, topped off with a slogan out of place even in 1983. The back likewise had similar for Action Man in a firing pose. Side panels now were similarly lacklustre, with scaled down front illustration artwork, with Action Man stars and contents list. The 1981 equipment poster was the last one issued by Palitoy, and featured the new Soldiers, Officers and Experts range of outfits, Equipment Centre cards and the Electronic Command Centre. Of special interest was a selection of small arm accessories that never made it into the marketplace. Also featured the Transport Command range, including the new armoured Jeep and assault copter. The Space Rangers were showcased, along with Rom the Space Knight and Captain Zargon. Both figures included the combined gripping hands, eagle eyes and sharpshooter head L830 instruction leaflet. Star Awards card included L920 in 1981 and L1337 in 1983. Both figures were reproduced as part of the 40th anniversary Nostalgic Collection, with the 81 version being included with the Grenadier Guard outfit, and the 1983 included with the US Paratrooper outfit.